I'd like to share my immediate reactions to the Star Wars movie Mandalorian and Grogu, which I saw yesterday in the cinema. I feel like it would be easier to review it if it had been an episode of Star Wars Rebels or Clone Wars, because that's how I felt while watching it. Judging it on a cinematic scale, I feel like doesn't make justice to it. I'm just gonna talk about things that puzzled me or thoughts that came up. So basically, brain slime. I really have to start with Sigourney Weaver. Imagine that you get to cast Sigourney Weaver and write a story for her. Of course, you would like to give her memorable scenes, exciting lines. She's introduced as this experienced pilot, a leader at the rebel base. But all she really does is sitting at the mess table, handing character cards or telling Grogu not to eat snacky snacks. Next time we see her, she's still at the mess, now complaining about the messy job done. But that doesn't actually matter because she's going to give you a classical, valuable, restored, vintage ship. Because government's great. They hand out vintage classical vehicles because that's what governments do. The third time we see her, she's still at the same freaking place, just hanging around idly, not doing anything, but complaining about the messy job that Mandalorian has done. But the fourth time we see her, she's finally doing something. She's at the X-Wing cockpit on the way to Nal Hutta. But even there, everybody just seems to be sitting in the cockpit just bored. You could have given Sigourney Weaver anything to do. You could have made her, for example, a badass flight instructor. So like for the first time Mando sees her, she's in the middle of yelling to a new group of recruits who are looking fresh and scared. Could have taken ideas straight from Battlestar Galactica, for example, things that Starbuck and Apollo were saying, like, you are joining the colonial fleet, boys and girls, not some school club. Mando would have been monitoring this from the sidelines, and Grogu would have been just happy not to be a nugget. You could have seen progression of these young recruits every time that Mando returns to the base, and it's a lot of times. So you actually get a second story, you follow their growth, and the final X-Wing scene would have included these young pilots. And this is something that Star Wars has been over the years really good at, giving new characters that are believable and characters that you can use later in spin-offs and books and build whole stories around them. But to return to Sigourney Weaver, what if she was actually Jaina's Coin, the ex-Imperial baddie who was in charge of this criminal activity and the gladiator arena? He was surrounded by stormtroopers. Imagine that Sigourney Weaver had been that character. Yeah, you could have casted her as a really cool Imperial officer, but you could have also made a huge lore drop at the same time, because when you think about the Imperial remnant and their leaders who have a ruthless creep, who are intelligent, who are maybe female and have copper hair, a lot of us nerds will immediately think about a specific character from the legends. Natassi Dala, Admiral Natassi Dala, would have been a perfect character choice for Sigourney Weaver. I can't believe they missed this opportunity. As a close acquaintance to Admiral Tarkin, she would have brought a lot of those important connections to the main trilogy and also offered new possible spin-off chances for her character, maybe flashbacks. So maybe next time. But let's talk about the Hutts. Nal Hutta was amazing. Looking at the Hutts living their slimy life in the lair, in the palace, that was so brilliantly made. That was interesting. I love the twins. They are so scary with their voices, and especially watching this in cinema, it was booming in a weird way. It was really effective. I'm a bit disappointed that they made them speak English, so Galactic Basic. It would have been cooler if they just spoke Huttese. But it's okay. Twins, great characters. I love how they're just snuggled next to each other, these slimy slugs. But then Rhoda the Hutt. What on Nal Hutta was that? Firstly, how can Rhoda the Hutt be so likable? I mean, I'm a fan of his kind nature. his values. But oh my gosh, this is supposed to be a Hutt, an alien. He's not supposed to be like an art student boy from San Francisco at a Starbucks asking if he can feed your dog. And his accent was so weird. Like you feel like nothing from the Outer Rim was like affecting him. But it was also a bit out of the world experience. Hutt in general. Based on what we know about their nature, imagine then a Hutt being held captive and trained to become a killing machine and treated like an animal. Whatever the outcome is, like this cannot be it. And why is he so likable? He should have been putting up a show just to pretend that he's a nice guy, but he's really just waiting for an opportunity to have revenge on his uncle and aunt. The scene where they're fighting is just absolutely brilliant. It's pure chaos. It's super funny. But what I really wanted after Rhoda wins, that he doesn't actually escape. He ascends the throne. So imagine a scene where all the security droids and the other Hutts are flooding the throne room, and Rhoda the Hutt is sitting on the throne. And then we would hear him speak first time in Huttese, "You will serve me as you served my father, Jabba the Hutt." And then he would like turn to Mando and Grogu and say, "I will let you leave here alive." And this would be the birth of a new gray area character with endless opportunities, a really cool alternative way to handle his character. So as a conclusion, I would give this movie 4 out of 10, mainly because the story itself doesn't have many stakes in it. Characters should have been more believable and have some growth during the movie. CGI varies wildly. In many places, it's amazing, like the AT-AT scene, and also the shots from the Razor Crest cockpit look like almost like a Galaxy's Edge ride. It was really fun to see from the Mando's point of view, but the Hutts looked like they were from Phantom Menace by the quality of the CGI. It feels like it's made for kids because of the simplicity and presentation, but also there's just a lot of killing and violence all the time, everywhere, even more than in original Star Wars. And in the prequels, they were just destroying mainly droids. I started to feel almost sorry for the snowtroopers in this movie. So that's the dilemma. It feels to me a bit too violent for small kids, but also I imagine teens would be bored to see it. Maybe the age between 11 and 12 is the optimal, but I really don't know who the target audience is either, because this wasn't really made for Star Wars nerds because of the lack of the connection to the lore. I feel like the setup at Lucasfilm is perfect for animated shows, but will it be good for cinematic movies? This will be find out. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie really feels like the season 4 of the Mandalorian TV show. The good side is it was all harmless fun. They didn't screw up the lore. Hutts were amazing. Star Wars needs to be on the big screen, so thank you for bringing it back. I have a lot of hopes for Ryan Gosling now and the next movie that they're making. I hope the film Starfighter will be great and that Ryan will help to pull it all together. He's good at that. I won't be going to see Mandalorian and Grogu again, but I hope you go and have fun. It's a movie worthy to support. And I'm also thankful for everybody who was involved making it. Thank you for bringing us Star Wars, and I hope you have a really nice spring.